Hey guys, it's Tom Moore here. Thank you for joining us in More Biblical Truth. We're reading through the book of Revelation. We're talking about the end times. We're talking about the last days. And we're in chapter 13, which we are more specifically talking about the beast. What is the beast? Who is the beast? Or who are the beast that John sees in this vision? And keep in mind, according to chapter 1, verses 1 and 2 of this book, Revelation, Yeshua tells John, I'm getting ready to show you a vision of things that will come to pass very quickly, shortly in your lifetime, John. So quickly write these things down, record them, and send them to the 7 churches. And he names the 7 churches. So most of this happened already in John's time, just as Yeshua said it would when he told the disciples that in Matthew 24. But we're seeing a repeat because prophecies in the Bible have a dual application. They happen several times in history. We're seeing a repeat today in our time. So we will get back to what the beast could be today and what Babylon could be today after we finish this chapter. So I believe we are on 9. So if any man have an ear, let him hear. Well, those who belong to Elohim will hear.
Yeah.
He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. I believe it was Yeshua said, if you live by the sword, he was telling Peter this when Peter got the sword out and cut off the servant of the high priest's ear in the garden right before they arrested Yeshua. Peter said, put your sword away. And he said it, I think, in another time. He said, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. Yeshua came with his sword, his truth, the sword, two-edged sword coming out of his mouth, and to divide the wheat from the tares, to divide the goats from the sheep, to divide those who he chose for salvation from those he didn't choose from salvation. But we're not to use a physical sword to fight, just like today. You think you're going to battle against the New World Order global government of today?
This is the only weapon we have.
This is the weapon. This is the sword of the Spirit. It talks about in the armor of God, the listings of, and it's the only offensive weapon. If you go back to that list of the weapons of warfare, I believe it's in Ephesians, all the armor, most of the armor is defensive. It's defense. The weapon of the word is the offensive weapon. It's the sword. So this is not a battle today that we're fighting with flesh and blood. We're not fighting or battling against the policies of this evil, wicked, perverted, left-wing socialist New World Order government called the Biden administration. You're not going to fight against that. You won't win against that because the Father's the one that put Biden in office, and he's the one who has already designed everything that's taking place today, just like he did back in John's day. The Father used Nero and the armies of Rome, the beast system they were referred to. And listen, if you go back and read historian Josephus, who was alive and recorded everything that happened during John's lifetime, during these events that John saw in the visions, he recorded them all. It's called the Works of Josephus, and there's other people. I cannot pronounce his name. Herodotus or Herodotus is another historian. Edersheim is another historian who recorded all of these events.
I was going to say, for a lot of the, I don't know what you'd call them, patriots maybe, that think that if war comes to their doorstep, they're going to do battle with it. They're sadly mistaken. They're not going to take down a wicked government
that God put up.
Right.
God's the one that instigated and ordained this present wicked government. He's going to use it, just like he uses Satan as his tool and agent to pour his wrath upon a wicked, evil earth, upon the wicked, the non-elect, those he didn't choose for salvation. They're going to get what they deserve. We deserve it too, but Yeshua took our wrath, the wrath of God, upon himself for us, those of us that he chose. But I want to say that in all the historians' writings, those, and even the early church fathers, they called Nero the beast. They knew this letter that had already been circulated before Nero invaded Rome. They knew Nero was the beast referred to here in this chapter. They knew the 3.5 years of turmoil where the temple was knocked down, Jerusalem was razed to the ground and burned, and Nero crucified over 1.5 million Jews. They knew those 3.5 years were called the Great Tribulation. That's referred to in this letter. They knew that. They all knew that. There was no discrepancy. There was no ambiguity with them. The ambiguity is with us today, trying to apply these scriptures to the present. You can't do that. This vision John saw were events that were about to come upon the earth, the known world at that time. Jerusalem, Israel, and all the surrounding nations were affected by it. That's the way you have to read it. There's no other way you can connect the dots here.
I wonder if maybe I'm just thinking out loud here, but who were the people that put the scriptures together and not codified? What's the word? Help me out here.
They canonized
when they
the
canonize
scriptures.
it. If the purpose of them canonizing Revelation was because they wanted to make it a future event, I mean, if they were looking at it and go, God, this is great, so now we'll be able to tell everybody what's to come, rather than actually present it as something that has been done.
Has been done. It's history. Most of Revelation is history, folks. That's not preterism. That's just connecting the dots between Daniel's visions and his prophecies, Ezekiel's visions and his prophecies. You can go right down the list. Matthew 24, the Olivet Discourse, we call it, of Yeshua, when he warned his followers to get out. When you see the armies of Rome surrounding Jerusalem, get out. That already happened. Excuse me. So, you got to read it that way. Nero was called the beast by everyone in John's time. They understood who the beast was. Why didn't Holy Spirit want John to just go ahead and put Nero's name in here? Because if these letters were to get intercepted, and some of them were, that were going to these 7 churches, that was Yeshua's way of protecting the body of Christ, protecting his followers. That's why he calls Jerusalem Sodom and Gomorrah in Revelation, Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, and Babylon. Jerusalem, those were code names, code words for Jerusalem. Same with the word beast. It's a code word for Nero. There's no question. All the historians said that. All the early church fathers wrote that. They knew. They didn't have any confusion about this, the timing of the events that John saw in the vision. They happened between 67 and 70 AD. That's when Yeshua came and destroyed Judaism. The old covenant was fulfilled. The covenant of works was fulfilled. The Old Testament was fulfilled. The Torah and the prophets were fulfilled, just like Yeshua said. I didn't come to destroy them. I came to fulfill the Torah and all the prophecies about me. He's already fulfilled them all. One left, his final coming. And I believe that will be in our time, in our day, in this age, this final generation. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with a sword must be killed with a sword. He's letting his people know, the body of Christ, at this time. You're not going to physically fight against Nero and the armies, or you will die. You try to pick up your sword and fight them, which the Zealot Jews were trying to convince all the other Hebrews in Jerusalem, let's stand up and fight against Nero. And because most of the Jews understood this letter that was already circulated among them, they knew, no, the Father said, Yeshua already said in his letter to us, in John's vision, that we are not to do that. So the Zealot Jews ended up starting to kill the Hebrews, calling them wimps, calling them babies, sissies. Read your history books. The Zealot Jews. So Nero, before he even came in and attacked with his army, set back. He was already surrounded Jerusalem for months, probably a year. He sat back and let the Jews kill each other for a while, and he starved them out. Many died that way before Nero and his armies even came in and attacked. That's what Yeshua is talking about here. He says
John.
That's what Yeshua is talking about here in his letter, in his vision to John. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now, if we're going to apply this to back then, Remember, Nero had several leaders. Nero had several powerful men under him. And then he had powerful people when Nero died who came up instead of him and continued the job of sacking Rome. Of sacking Jerusalem.
That gives credence to the fact that the beast is more than one. There
Right.
may be one leader, but there are multiple entities in that
The beast is a system. It was a system back then. It was Nero and all of his military leaders, and it was those who succeeded Nero. It was the armies of Rome. And the beast today, the beast system today is, there's a lot of people, and I've named some of them in my book called Killing America, The Death of Our Republic. In the New World Order, the global government that's already in place, that has already taken over our nation and most nations, there are many people at the top. Most of the wealth today, most of the financial wealth is in the hands of 64 families. There's your global government right there. He who has the gold rules. That's the golden rule today. So that's the beast system of today. But the beast system back then was Nero and his armies, his military leaders, and those who succeeded him. Rome, the powers were divided amongst three people, three leaders. So that's what some of these horns represent. Horns always represent, they're symbolic of military power or political power and authority. That's what they've always represented in apocalyptic literature and prophecy. So this is not a literal animal beast with horns. John's seeing the metaphor here. Another beast coming up out of the earth. The earth represents, by the way, in apocalyptic literature, Gentiles. That's the Roman armies. Gentiles. Came up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. Now, so two horns like a lamb. A lamb would look innocent, would look favorable to you, would look like a government that has your best interest in mind. Just trust me. A little lamb, right? Soft, cuddly. You can embrace a little lamb government like that, right? But he spoke like a dragon. And he acted like a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. Nero's the first beast. Those that succeeded him were even worse. Titus, Vespasian, or however you want to pronounce it. They caused the earth and those who dwell in them to worship the first beast, Nero. They made them bow before the statue that Nero put into the temple. Read your history books, it's there. Whose deadly wound was healed. Now, we don't know how that happened with Nero, but there's some history that says that he got deathly ill and then came back to life. He just got re-energized. He who doeth great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Was this literal? There are some history books that explain some of the symbolism of this, some of the, metaphors, that this was a metaphor. Fire came down from earth in the sight of men, and deceived those who dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Nero was wounded and he survived. Everybody thought he would die. He survived. Again, will this happen again today in our lifetime with a final political global leader? I believe it will. And I believe the wound to the head is a political wound. It's a metaphor for a political wound. Who right now, presently in our lifetime, is undergoing that deadly political wound? Everybody thinks his political career is over because they're going after him and trying to put him in jail. Donald Trump.
I'm thinking this also, though it's not been completely deadly, but they're trying to inflict deadly wounds on the whole Biden administration, the current administration, and all those that are in it.
Yeah,
they're trying to throw the deadly wounds at them, but they don't seem to die.
Yeah, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens have all committed treason over and over again to this country. They've already sold this country out to China and Russia and to the New World Order globalists.
Ukraine most recently.
Many decades ago. We haven't been the United States has been a corporation since the late 1800s, when the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Crown of England bought it back. And they've been running things ever since, grooming and educating and selecting our presidents and our senators and our congressmen and women for many, many decades. So it's over for this country. But who's suffering the political deadly wound right now? Donald Trump. So be careful. Be very, very, very careful and keep watching. If he has a miraculous resurrection, Satan always tries to imitate Christ. If Trump has a miraculous resurrection, and he doesn't even have to win the presidency if he's going to continue to run. He could step up to the final global leader, but he may use the presidency as a stepping stone to become the final political global leader spoken of.
Well, he does not appear, anytime you see him, he doesn't appear like he's bothered by it at all, which would give rise to the thought that it's because he's part of it. He knows what's going on.
He knows the plan.
So
he's following the plan.
Going along with it and doing whatever I have to do for the appearance of things.
And I'll guarantee you this, the Biden administration and all those on the left-wing organizations and politics that are pretending to hate Trump, they know the whole plan. They know what's going on. They're all actors, folks. Don't trust any of them. And don't trust what they tell you to put into your body either, because it's part of their depopulation plan. So please don't try to pigeonhole Liz and I as being preterists, that everything in prophecy has already happened. We believe it will have a secondary fulfillment in our time today. But what John's seeing were the events, because Yeshua already told him that in chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. This vision that John's seeing at this time were events that were about to happen during John's lifetime to Jerusalem. So this wound to the head, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak. Nero set up an image of himself in the temple, in the Holy of Holies. He defiled the temple. That was one of many abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel. It happened with Antiochus Epiphanes when he took the hog and threw it on the Holy of Holies on the Ark of the Covenant. It's happened when Herod was adding buildings during this time, during John's lifetime, and he was defiling the temple by adding the buildings, by adding the extra buildings around the temple. It happened when Rome first came into Jerusalem on their horses bearing their emblems, their flags of a dirty pagan bird called an eagle, which is the emblem of the United States of America. That's a pagan emblem, folks. Just like the Statue of Liberty is a statue of Isis, and it was designed by a Freemason. Just like the statue on the top of the Capitol building is a Native American. If you look at all the symbolisms in that statue on top of that's paganism. That's witchcraft, sorcery, Luciferian paganism. This whole country is filled with symbols, even on your dollar bill, of Luciferian satanic paganism. This is not a Christian country. It was formed by religious people, members of the Illuminati, Bohemian Grove, Freemasonry. They're the leaders of your country. He caused both all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. Now, the KJV says in their right hand, and by the way, the right hand is anywhere from the shoulder, back in this time, Greek and Roman times, from the shoulder all the way down to the fingertips. When Yeshua, we see pictures all the time of these little tiny nails in the palm of his hand. That's not what happened. He had spikes driven between the radius bone and the ulna bone, ulna and radius. And that was called the hand, from the fingertip all the way up to the shoulder. That's why I believe the jab today that your government and the medical community and the globalists want you to take, the DNA changing jab, is also if it's not fully the mark, it's certainly a precursor, but I believe it's a part of the entire end time beast system and a part of the end time mark. But back then, this right here that we're reading in Revelation did not refer to this jab that we're seeing now. It referred to the mark that Nero, if you go back and look at history, required every Jew, every Gentile had to take a mark on their forehead so everybody could see it. and a mark on the back of their hand, and they could not participate in the marketplace. They couldn't buy or sell. They couldn't keep their jobs. And it was a mark without that mark, and it was a mark of loyalty to Nero. And many of the Jews took the mark. That's why Yeshua came in the clouds of judgment in 70 AD and destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed the temple. He was going to do it anyway, but they took the mark of loyalty to Nero, these people did. Most of the Jews did. He made all, both small and great, to take a mark. By the way, KJV says in their hand and forehead. All the other translations, most of them say on their head or forehead.
Yeah, this is upon.
Yeah.
Upon there.
Which would make sense back then for Nero to require a visible mark on their forehead, on their hand. Now it's an invisible mark with the needle. It's what's inside you. Luciferase. Lucifer's race. That's what they call the liquid jab. That's what the ones who developed it call it. And that no man would be able to buy or sell except the one who had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Name of the beast. Remember that. Name of the beast. Who's the beast it's talking about now? Nero. Who's the beast today? We'll find out. Remember, the name Donald Trump means ruler of the world. Donald means ruler of the world. Look it up in Wikipedia. Trump means chief or the highest. So the highest ruler of the world or the chief ruler of the world is what Donald Trump means. Now that I'm on that name, because we'll get back to this, we're about to wrap this up, chapter 13. This is interesting too because obviously many of you have already have seen this somewhere on Facebook. But the name Barack Obama. Yeshua said, I believe it's in Matthew 24 also, I think it's repeated again, the Olivet Discourse in Luke, I think in 13. But he said when the disciples asked him, when are you going to knock these buildings down? When are you going to destroy this temple? And when are you going to destroy Jerusalem? He wasn't saying they didn't ask him when is your final coming. They said, when are you going to come in the clouds of judgment and destroy this temple? So most of Matthew 24 is an answer to that question. Not something that's going to happen 2,000 years later.
Well, do they even have a concept that there would be a final coming?
Right, they didn't. They didn't. Because they
They
thought,
have been projecting to that.
they even thought when he came in the clouds of judgment in 67 to 70 AD that he was then going to set up his physical kingdom on the earth.
Yeah,
He
well,
didn't.
Just like with when he came as a man,
riding on the donkey.
Everybody thought he was coming to set it up then.
So, where was I? Oh, the name, Barack
Barack
Obama.
Obama.
The first thing out of the mouth of Yeshua, I think it's in the Luke version. I'm not sure it's in Matthew. I have to go back and look it up. Yeshua says, before he gives the signs, before 67 and 70 AD happened, before he gives those signs to look for, Yeshua says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from the heights of heaven down to the earth. The name Barack Obama, look it up in the Aramaic, which is the language that even Yeshua, the disciples, and many of the Hebrew people were speaking back then. Look it up. Yeshua said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from the heights. The name Barack Obama means fallen from the heights of heaven. Lightning fallen from the heights of heaven. That's what the two names mean in Arabic. You can look it up in a concordance.
Arabic or Aramaic?
Aramaic, people say both. Aramaic. Does that mean that Obama is the final world leader? Many people believe he's already been running a shadow government, that he's definitely a part of the end times beast system, the beast system we're living in now. There's no question about that. He even said in his book, when the political winds change, I will side with the Muslims. He said that himself.
Anybody who thinks he's a Christian must be very deceived.
Yeah, Rick Warren did an injustice to everybody, but it was a part of the plan of God. When he interviewed John McCain and Barack Obama when they were running against each other for president, Rick Warren asked them each if they were a Christian, and of course both of them said yes, that they accepted Jesus as their personal Savior. Both of them lied. It was a lie. You can go over their entire history, read their writings, read their philosophies, read their voting record, read their politics. It's anything but Christian. It's anything but Christ. It's anti-Christ. It's anti-Bible, anti-truth. But that's what a Bible... So we have to be careful when we say, well, I believe this person's the Antichrist or that person. So was Yeshua giving us a hint who the final global leader would be, political global leader would be, when he said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from the heights of heaven to the earth?
Let me ask this. Now, was Barack Obama, of course, all the records are sealed, so we don't really know, but I know he also went as Barry Soetoro.
Yeah.
But, so was his given name at birth Barry, and Barack Obama is a name he assumed because he wanted to take
Like
that
lightning
position?
fallen from the heavens.
I mean, so we don't know, but why would he have two different names that are very different?
But again, Donald Trump means chief ruler of the world. So now, let's get back to this beast system. Not just one person called the beast, which John knew was Nero. All the Christians knew or Nero. Many of the Jews knew it was the beast written about in Revelation in John's vision was Nero. They knew that. They all said it in their writings. I've studied their writings. Many of the early historians that were alive during this time. So, let's talk about the beast system now. It's not just one person, it's a group of people. So you have a dark, listen, they tell us everything they're going to do before they do it.
Yeah.
So they control Hollywood, they control all the actors, all the producers, all the writers, all the script writers, all the screenwriters, all the directors. They control them all, the globalists now. Star Wars has one force, two sides to the force, the light side, the dark side. This is a precursor for what they're doing now, the beast system today. I was going to say this to the end of Revelation, our teaching, but I'll go ahead and share it now because we have to. The name of the beast is what we just got to. So, the dark side should be very obvious to every spirit-filled, born-again believer. The dark side is the left-wing liberals, the socialists, the globalists, the New World Order, the Biden administration, the Obama administration, the Democratic Party, you go right down the list. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the Illuminati, the Bohemian Grove, my mind's blank. I've got them all listed in my book, Killing America, The Death of Our Republic. The Bilderbergers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Crown of England, that's all part of the dark side. One force, one beast system today, but there's two sides. Follow me here. That's the dark side. Along comes the light side. Okay? The dark side has to collapse all the economies of every once powerful nation on the earth. That's happening right now. The dark side has to cause chaos through Black Lives Matter, riots, confusion, spiritual darkness, perversion, sexual perversion. That's happening now. The dark side's creating all of that, right? So the light side, the dark side has to make it so bad that when the light side of the same force, the same beast system, the same satanic political system, the light side of this one force comes along, crushes, acts like they're crushing the dark side and getting them out of the way. The deep state's over here. The light side comes along, the QAnon, the Trumpites, those who follow Trump, who's still saying now in his speeches, he's going to get rid of the deep state, the dark side of this beast system. He's going to get rid of the dark side. He may do just that. But the light side of this one force is just as evil, if not more so, because it's more deceptive than the dark side. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. So there's two sides of this one force, just like they told us and pre-programmed in the movies Star Wars. There's the light side, there's the dark side. They're both parts, integral parts of the final beast system that we're living in now. Back then, the beast system was Nero and his armies and his captains and his military leaders and those that succeeded him. Those are the horns. And the kings of the earth at that time, they're lined up with Nero. But today, it's happening again. This prophecy's coming alive again. So we see the Obama over here leading the dark side, the deep state. We see Trump over here leading the light side. In fact, Trump is called by the pagan Luciferian Rothschild Jews of today, of Israel. Mm-hmm. Trump is called Messiah, Savior, Deliverer, the Light. Mm-hmm. He is. He's called the Rescuer, the Hero, Superman. He's leading the light part of this evil, wicked, satanic beast system. Probably Obama, and Biden's just a puppet, a mindless, brainless puppet. But Obama's leading, I believe, one of the leaders, he's of the dark side. So that's why I'm saying it can't be either Trump or Obama or a Rothschild or some other political leader that's the final single political global leader called the Antichrist. It's a combination of all of these people.
System.
All of these things. The beast is a system. So a lot of people who claim to be Christians are deceived by the light side of this beast system today. They're supporting Trump.
I think a lot of that is because their desire is more to have their way and what they want in the final outcome than what Yeshua has planned.
Here's another thing. My generation and those before me that are still alive, my mother's still living, they saw America as being, we did have some freedoms, we did have some liberties, we did have freedom of speech, we did have freedom of religion. They grew up in that America. That America is no more.
No.
But they see Trump as somebody who can come in and change it back to what it used to be when they were growing up, or when I was growing up. Yeah, Trump will appear to be the one who will come in and rescue everybody from the dark side. You know, remember Luke in Star Wars? Remember Darth Vader? Luke, come to the dark side. Well, the light side today, the Trump side, is just as evil, just as wicked, more deceptive than the dark side. Almost all believers, I would say all true believers, can discern the dark side of this government right now.
You know,
the perversion, everything. It's upside down. All believers can discern that. But there's a lot of believers still supporting Trump who cannot discern the light side of this same satanic beast system.
What's interesting to me is that when you listen to any of the political talking heads, and it's what they're saying sounds good, but they're not doing anything to make a change. They're just being talking heads. They're not, what was the thing that came up recently about quit funding the Department of Justice? If the Republicans have the opportunity,
and they do in the
power
House,
to defund the Department of Justice, why aren't they doing that to stop what the Department of Justice
good
is
point.
doing?
I was going to make that point, and what you just said leads me into this point. Some Republicans in Congress are part of the dark side.
Go.
They are. We already know who they are. Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham. I'm not going to say Lindsey. Lindsey is, but Lindsey's pretending to be on the light side, a Trump supporter, Lindsey Graham. But there's some obvious Republicans in the Senate and in the House that are in the dark side. There's some not so obvious, they're obvious to us, but to a lot of Christians they're not. There's some not so obvious Republicans who are pretending to be conservatives, Trump supporters, who are on the light side of this beast system of government. They're all a part of satanic beast system. Don't be fooled.
And
Don't trust any man. The Bible says, don't trust any man, don't trust any government.
And that's not
of
any
man.
different than the media, because there's a light side, supposed light side, and a dark side on the media
Thank
as
you.
well, but they're still operating in the same vein as the political.
But by the way, we do teaching on this on our Facebook pages too, so you can go back and scroll down on my Facebook page and you'll find this. But Fox, Rupert Murdoch is a globalist. He is a puppet of the New World Order, just like Mark Zuckerberg, all of them are. Anybody has to do. Satan's the prince and power of the airwaves, the radio, the TV, the phones, the computers. The Father has orchestrated Satan to use these things to deceive all those who do not belong to God on the earth right now. So, there are Republicans on the dark side, Republicans on the light side. Lindsey Graham is one of those on the light side who's trying to deceive you you Christians to think that he's a conservative. He's not. They're all part of the final global beastly government. Will there be one person who comes out of that? I think one of the scenarios, I wrote about this probably a year ago on Facebook page. I think one of the scenarios you could look at, you got Obama heading up the dark side, Trump heading up the light side of the same satanic beast system, final New World Order, global government, one world government, and one world religion system. They could possibly come together and compromise.
You said that.
Come together. So they could come together. So all the Jews, fake Ashkenazi, they're non-elect Jews. They're not the true sons and daughters of Abraham or of Elohim. The ones who are running Israel today love Trump. They worship Donald Trump. All the Muslims around the world love Barack Obama. They worship him. So if they came to, that would be just like God orchestrating Satan to do this. Let them come together. Then then the whole beast system, light and dark, comes together, right? That's how Satan does things. He's so deceptive. He appears as an angel of light. Then you see who he really is after it comes together. The light and the darkness come together. If they come together and rule together, they're only going to rule for a short time. Then Yeshua's going to come and bust up the whole system, the whole beast system. But I can see that happening because Obama will get all the Muslims on board with this final global government. Trump will get all the Jews and supposedly Christians, religious people together. He'll get them on board. They'll all take more vaccines, all the people that are following these two. It could happen that way. There's so many different ways this can happen in the end times. So when you read this, don't listen to the teachers that want to pigeonhole who the beast is, what nation is Babylon. I mean, I've heard all the arguments, and a lot of them are good arguments. That United States is the Babylon. Well, certainly the United States is part of the final Babylonian system. That Roman Catholic Church is the Babylon spoken in the Revelation. Well, certainly the Roman Catholic Church is a part of the Babylonian system. But guess what? Almost all the churches are now. They're all apostate. So the Babylonian system, when it speaks about it in Revelation, is a spiritual Babylon, but it's also the political Babylon of Rome, Nero in Rome. And Babylon is spoken of as Jerusalem. Jerusalem had compromised so much, they had committed the same sins that the nation of Babylon did way back in the Old Testament. Same with Egypt, same with Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why Jerusalem in Revelation is referred to as Egypt, Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah. And the beast and the beast system that we just read about in Revelation is Nero and the armies of Rome. But we're seeing another beast system today, the final beast system before the final return. Let me finish it up. Here is wisdom. Let him who understands count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now I know through the years, all these prophecy teachers have tried to say, if they say that Kissinger is the Antichrist or that, whoever is the Antichrist, Barack Obama, whatever, they try to make their names fit into the numerical 666. Nero's name, no matter how you do Nero, first, last name, his title, all of those fit into 666. Every one of them. Donald Trump does too. Barack Obama, the way they try to tweak it, it does too. So we have to be careful in trying to define who the final Antichrist is today. But we'll know very soon, because right now it's being run, the whole beast system is divided. It's the dark part of it, like Star Wars, one force. There's the dark side, there's the light side, and they haven't come together yet. They're fighting each other for power, for final world ruling, for the final world domination and authority and power, political power. They're fighting each other right now, or they're pretending to fight each other right now. But they will come together. They will all be serving their master, Satan. And we will continue to serve our master and our Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach. Thank you for joining us today.